Chapter 9, Section 7 in the 7th grade workbook is entitled Squares and Square Roots. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at some questions here. Pretty easy stuff you got going on here, especially since a lot of this you're going to be using a calculator for. Top part here, 1 through 8, you're finding the square. Remember, a square means you're taking the number and multiplying it by itself. So if I said, for instance, 3 squared, you would be doing 3 times 3. If I said 1 squared, you would be doing 1 times 1. So number 1, where they're asking you for 6 squared, what they want you to do is 6 times 6. Well, 6 times 6, of course, changes into 36. So I'm going to go ahead and write 36 there. And number 2, with 19 squared, there I'm going to be doing 19 times 19. 19 times 19 yields a solution of 361. So 19 squared must equal 361. I think you'll have a lot of luck with that top part. That's pretty easy. All right, let's go to the middle part there, finding the square root. So now we're going the opposite direction. We're going to find what number I would multiply by itself to make the number under the square root sign. So for instance, in number 9, where I'm talking about 289, the solution is 17. Why is the solution 17? Well, the solution is 17 because when you do 17 times 17, the result is 289. It's going the opposite direction of square. When we find the square, we're multiplying it by itself and getting that number. Now we've already got the number. We want to know what number I multiplied by itself. So here the square root of 289 is 17. Again, why? Because 17 times 17 is 289. It's not just any old number that makes 289. It's what number I multiply by itself. With the square root of 49 and 10, solution is 7. Why? Because 7 times 7 is how I make 49. Again, it's the number I multiply by itself to make that number. Now in the next part there, 17 to 32, there you're using a calculator to find the square root. I want to remind you, if your calculator doesn't have a square root key, but you have a power button, you can always use the 1/2 power to find the square root here. So when we're doing the square root of 11 there, I'm going to take 11 to the 0.5 power, if you want to use the power button, and the result you get there is 3.316624790355. They're asking me to round to the nearest whole number, so I'm going to round that off to 3. Again, we're saying what number can I multiply by itself to make that number? Well, in this case, that 3.3166 multiplied by itself is how I get 11. And again, because they're asking me to round to the nearest whole number, I'm answering 3. With 31, again, I'm going to do the same thing because I'm using the calculator, and I end up with 5.5677. Round that off to the nearest whole number, so that's going to round off to a nice clean 6.